Hi folks, Don Bailey, Suburban Tool. So we've got a challenge. Let's say we're on a surface grinder and the part is not coming out flat for whatever reason. We're grinding it and it's off a couple of 4, 5, 6, 7 tenths and we can't figure out what the hell is going on. Well, here's a solution to getting it flat. And sometimes the problem's in the chuck because it needs to be ground, other times it's just who knows where. So Glenn, do you have any idea how we're going to do it?
No.
Well, look at this. Is this cool?
That looks really sweet.
That is crisscrossing. I really like the way it looks. Some guys don't like it. Some guys will say, well, you know, that doesn't look like a grinder, you know. But it's cool looking. What it says to me is that the part is flat. And the way we do it is we put it in a machine with the in a surface grinder with the chuck on residual, which means we put the chuck on and put it off. And we go back and forth, we turn apart. So we're going to go back and we're going to show you how we took a part that was off several tenths and how we made it flat on a surface grinder that may be questionable. We're not quite sure why it didn't come out flat, but it didn't. So this is one way to do it, and we're going to take you in the back and we're going to show you how to do it. So let's head for the back and let's get it done. How do we get something really flat within a couple of, say, 50 millionths? And there's a little trick to that, and I want to show you what that trick's all about. Hey Glenn, you've been grinding, haven't you? No? So you know anything about it, right? Jim, how about you? No? All right, well anyway, there's a little trick to getting something flat within 50 millionths, and if you're struggling with that, I'll show you some tips and tricks on how to do that. Our enemy is heat. Remember that? We talked about that in one of our other videos. It's so critical we get rid of the heat. So two things we're going to do. We're going to dress the wheel nice and coarse, and we're also going to use a coolant on there to keep the heat down, not in dressing, but when we're grinding apart. So the first thing we're going to do is identify the problem, which we now know is how do we get the part flat within, say, 50 millionths. And there's a couple of tricks like I mentioned. One is to dress the wheel rough. I'm going to do that and show you how it's done so you get an idea. So stand by and watch this. Remember about stoning and keeping everything clean. It's critical. Stone the chuck. You notice it's not on, so I don't have to worry about grinding my hand off. It's never a good thing. So watch this. How do I know when the wheel is approaching the diamond? I put my hand over here like this, and I bring the wheel down until I feel it touching. I can feel the grain coming off, so I don't have to get down there with my eye and take a look at it. And that's a coarse dress. That also is critical in making sure that we have a coarse wheel. Why? Keeps the heat down, folks. That's why we want to do that. So now I'm going to shut the machine off. And I'm going to stone the chuck again, and I'm going to take my part. Hey Jim, you want to hand me that part we're going to use for a demo here? I'd go get it, but the cord's too short for the microphone. Okay, so this is our part, and we're going to want to get this top part flat within a couple of, well, within less than a tenth. Remember, stoning, you can't stone too much, folks. Cleanliness. Okay, we're going to do this side. I'm going to show you what this will look like. We call it a crisscross pattern. Slide it on in case there's dirt in the air. Never set it, slide it. Now, look at this. I can feel this part's not flat. It's got a high spot in the middle. So we're going to get rid of that high spot. May have to do both sides, we'll see. So I'm going to turn the chuck on, but I'm only going to use residual. Residual means that we're going to turn the chuck on, turn it off, and we're going to leave a little bit of magnetism in there when we put it on residual. So when we turn the chuck off, that'll give us some residual. Now another little trick, when I'm going to bring the wheel down to touch the part, we know that the paper is roughly 4 thousandths thick. In this case I folded it in half, so we got roughly 8 thousandths here, right? 2 times 4? 2 times 4, yeah. What is that? 8. There you go. You passed math, didn't you? Yeah, that's right. All right, I just felt the paper. That's an easy way to do it, folks. So, remember we've got about 8 thousandths to go. Okay, there we go. Now look at the sparks. Now in this case, I'm going to grind this dry because we're not going to generate any heat. Now I may turn the coolant on a little bit later, but let's see how it goes without it. So you can see where the high spots are. Move it just a bit. Almost in a circular motion. That's a lot more than I like to see coming off of there. This also gives a really cool pattern. Now the sparks that you see are probably about 1 to 2/10. That's all we're taking off. That's more than I'd like to take off in residual because you got to be careful. It could throw the part right off the chuck if you take any more than that. That's never a good thing. All right, I'm going to feed down a couple of more tenths and do that again. We still haven't gotten it flat. There we go. Now we're hitting on both sides. You see that? That's what we're looking for right there. Kind of boring, isn't it? But you'll like the pattern. Guys, have a good weekend. Well, I'm going to grind the other side. I don't like the way this looks. So I'm going to flip it over in a minute. All right, I'm going to flip this over. We're going to do the other side because I don't like the way this is reacting. It's obviously warped a little bit more than I'd like it to be. And if we're going to try to get this within 50 millionths, I got to grind the other side. So stand by. Look at that pattern. Is that cool? Now remember how that rocked a little bit when I put it on the first time? It was high in the middle. Watch this. Again, we want to slide it on. No rock. That part's a whole lot flatter than it was to begin with. And I'm not so sure that we'll even need residual. So I'm going to take a small cut here. Whoa. That's bigger than I like. Now that's with no magnet. It's on there with residual. That's why I can turn it. That's about all that I like to cut. I think after that you're liable to throw the part. When we're done with this, we're going to take it in the inspection room and we're going to check it for flatness. I can tell you right now that part's going to be flat. And we're going to have a pretty pattern. Now it's still pretty cool. You know, that part's not getting hot, just so you're aware. I mean, it's a little bit, it's probably, the temperature's probably up 5 degrees or so. But it's not hot. Uh-oh, that didn't sound good. Now, I'm not going to clean this up totally. Because I'm going to show you the high spot and the low spot. I see how it's reacting right now. Look at the sparks. We call that counting the sparks. Hardly nothing there. That's taken off nothing. That'll be barely measurable. Now this is going to be a telltale sign. You guys see that all right? Right here, you can see this spot right here, if you get that in the light right. You got a crisscross everywhere but here, which means that spot's low. So we'll take this in the inspection lab and I'll show you just how low that is. But the basic part of this part is going to be flat. That's going to fall off a little bit. We don't care about that. I just want to show you that the crisscrossing will take out any irregularities in the part. So if you really want to get it flat, that's how you get it flat. So let's go back in the inspection room and take a look at this puppy. So we didn't show you the whole video of me out there grinding this thing, but I was out there about a good 15 minutes to get a good crisscross pattern. And you take a look at this and you can see, Glenn, can you see that in the camera here?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So right here, I'm going to rock this back and forth so you can see right here is where it fell off. This dropped off probably 6, 7, 8 tenths. So you can see it wasn't flat in this area. This area is pretty good. It's pretty flat. We ground this side again. I always love this crisscross pattern. Isn't that cool? And we ground this side. So we're going to show you the difference between what it was over there versus what it is here. And again, we left this on here deliberately so you could see that this part, although it looked like it was flat, when we start crisscrossing it, it really told us the tale. It told us that this baby was not flat. So take a look at this. Remember, always slide, cleanliness, you know, you never set, you slide. So we've got the scale set to 1.5 thousandths, which is the lower scale. So again, the 5 is 5 tenths. So we're going to show you where we ended up here. We'll zero this guy in and we'll slide it across. You can see that's within a couple of tenths. Same thing going this way. Now I'll show you where it drops off at. Right there. That drops off about 7 or 8 tenths.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Tell you what, if I turn that into my boss, he'd throw me out in the street. If he tells me he wants a flat within a tenth or two. So that gives you an idea. And again, this concept is not for the light at heart. It's dangerous. Remember, you're grinding without any magnet power. You could throw the part. So that's a feel. That's part of that toolmaker feel that we talk about. It's not just coming down and grinding. You take, say, 5 tenths to 1 thousandths off there. You're going to throw that part. That's dangerous. So you got to be very, very careful when you're crisscrossing like that. Please, it's an art form. It's something that we as toolmakers, we all do it. But I'm talking to you beginners. You know, you guys that want to get in this field or want to get in the business and you want to figure out how to do this stuff. Just be careful with it, please. It's important because, you know, you guys could lose your limbs. You don't want to do that. So we hope that was informative for you. It's the kind of thing that we like to share with you on a regular basis. So please keep watching. Any comments, love to hear them. Check out our website, subtool.com, for any other assistance. There's lots of stuff on there to help you. And we know that all of these videos are going to make you a better person, a better tool maker, and that's our objective. So thanks for watching.